Hey everyone, welcome back to another wonderful episode of Living and Loving with yours truly, Monique McCall. And today I have a very exciting guest. You're not going to believe this one because you know what? She's only 20 years old. She's one of the top female golfers in the world. Began golfing at the young age of, I think, like out of the 8th grade. So she would have been like 12 or 13. And she also won the state title in her beautiful home state of Colorado when she was just in high school, the top golfer in her high school from freshman year on to her senior year. And now she's here with me today, just back from playing at the Women's US Open. I mean, unbelievable, back from California, and she's here and she's going to share her story with all of us. So thank you so much. A divine person, a divine golfer. Welcome today, Leigha Devine. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No, thanks so much for being here. It looks like you're back home.
I am. Yep. I'm in my room. It's nice to be home, sleep in your own bed.
I know. And I also left out, you're just back home from playing at the US Women's Open, and back home, you're a student at Rutgers. You're playing for Rutgers University. So New Jersey is so lucky to have you. They must be over the moon right now. Yes. So, and I'll be up in New Jersey, today. So I'm really excited about that. So if you need anything, let me know.
Perfect.
So you have been out living and loving through golf. And you started, later in life, because from what I understand, you were a gymnast. That was your dream. And I believe they said you were a 10. What is that, the term?
Yeah, I was a level 10 gymnast. And so it goes up to level 10, and then you start getting into the more like serious competing, like Olympic trials type stuff. So yeah, that was kind of my dream for a really long time. My mom was a college gymnast. And then it kind of just all crumbled, had a little too many injuries, my dad might say. So I had to kind of throw it to the side, and he said, why not start golf? And I took a chance, and I'm really happy that I did.
Yes, I know your dad shared with me that he said he wanted you to pick up another sport after your injury. Now, was that a hard decision to make?
Yeah, absolutely. Having to leave something that like I spent so much of my time doing, basically my whole childhood, it was hard to think like, how am I going to start over? I thought like, I'm already like 13. How can I start something else and try to get the best? Like, it's kind of late to start, but he had been bringing me to the range since I was younger, and it kind of just was like a smooth transition for me. It was easy to he's such a good golfer. So I had him as a coach. My older brother plays. He's really good too. So it was a pretty smooth transition, and I just kind of fell in love with the sport.
Yeah, and starting over is never easy.
Never.
But now when you look back to where you are, how do you feel about starting over?
Yeah, it definitely changed my perspective on life. I don't think you're ever too old to start anything new. There's always new things to learn, and yeah, if I could go back, I'd do it again, all in a heartbeat. In fact, I wish I started earlier. But yeah, it definitely pushes me to try new things for sure.
Well, it sounds like you really did not need to start any earlier because, you have been playing competitive golf only for such a short period of time. So by the time you got into high school your freshman year, you were the number one player on the team, and you had only been playing for 1 year. How in the world did you accomplish that?
Yeah, I think, I'm just a product of my environment. And like I said, my dad and my older brother, they're great players. So constant competition over and over again. I knew when I stepped up on that tee that it was go time. And I think that even my high school teammates pushed me to be better. My fellow competitors at the golf course, golfers like Dylan Stewart and AJ Ott, really good, accomplished college golfers, kind of just made me start fast and quick, and you got to get right into it. There's no dilly-dallying. So it kind of allowed me to get better pretty fast.
So how much practice time went into all of this leading up to your freshman year?
Yeah, so I started the summer after my 8th grade. My dad and I went out, just played in a couple summer tournaments, and then he asked me, he's like, are you going to take this serious or not? Because we have to decide. I said yes. And then from there on, the whole summer, I spend between 5 to like 8 hours a day at the golf course. Depends on the day, whether I play 18 or I'm just practicing. But yeah, it's a lot. I love it though. It's good. Good for the physical health and mental health.
Absolutely. It sounds like dad is a driving force.
For sure. I would say definitely.
No golf pun intended there.
No, my whole family is super supportive. So it's been a ton of fun, a nice long ride with them, and I hope it lasts forever.
I'm sure it will. I think it sounds like you're just more than well on your way, already having just come back from playing at the U.S. Women's Open.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You're 20 years old. You're at Rutgers. You decide that you're going. Now, you were in Colorado, and then you decided to go back and play in a qualifying tournament in New Jersey, or were you in New Jersey at the time?
So I was in New Jersey at the time. What happened is it was actually my finals week. So I couldn't fly home and play in the Colorado qualifier. So I just decided to stay in New Jersey and play in the one here. And then I had my dad fly out and he caddied for me. So it was nice, kind of a wrap up to the end of my year. And then I got to fly home and be home for the summer.
And that was at Spring Lake.
It was, yeah, Spring Lake Golf Club.
So tell me what happened there.
Yeah, so it was a phenomenal golf course. I got to play a practice round. I got brought out by Mark DiStefano. One of the Rutgers alums, John Libro, is a good friend of his. And so that was nice. We got to play it. And when we played in our practice round, it actually poured. So it was nice on the day of the tournament. I was like, well, this isn't that bad. Like, I played when it was pouring. But the golf course itself was in just like mint condition. It was awesome. The greens were super fast. They're rolling at like a 15, which is almost faster than they were playing at the U.S. Open. So it was a great experience, and it was cool to challenge my golf against college golfers from all over the place that live in New Jersey who play other places were there. So it was always fun to meet new people and see new people's games.
So from what I recall, there were two other golfers at that tournament that you ended up in a three-way tie, two LPGA professional golfers, and you were in a tie and you had to do a playoff.
Yeah, so what happened is we finished the round, and Cheyenne Woods had won outright. I think she finished like 2 under, and then there was a 3-way tie for second. So it was me, a tour player, and then another fellow amateur who had actually played in the U.S. Women's Open before. Mega, she finished like the top amateur, the low amateur at this year's U.S. Open. But it was my first playoff I've ever played in. Lots of tournaments, but never ended up in a playoff. So that was really exciting, a little extra nerves. And then our first playoff hole was a par 3, which is odd. That's usually not what happens. But the first playoff hole went well. I hit a good shot in there, good putt, just lipped out, made par. So we all moved on to the second hole. Second hole didn't go so well. I hit good shots, but I just ended up with a bogey, and Mega went up and she made par, so she was just an automatic qualifier. So I've never been in a playoff before. I kind of thought it was over. My dad looked at me and I was like, it's too bad. And he goes, what do you mean? We gotta keep playing. There's 2 of you left. You gotta play for alternate spots. So obviously there's 2 alternate spots, 1 and 2, but depends on how you qualify. So we went on, we played 2 more holes, and I ended up beating the other tour player. So I was first alternate.
Way to go.
Fast forward a week. I'm on FaceTime with one of my college teammates, and I get an email. It says, congratulations, there's a spot open. Coolest email I've ever gotten, for sure. Full waterworks, big celebration with the family. It was.
What did that feel like for you, though, internally?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like the most reassuring, like, all right, the work I've been doing is like, it's real and it's working out, and like you can really go somewhere with this. Like you are like high in the game and the sky's the limit. It was amazing.
I mean, were you nervous? Were you excited?
Yeah, I was really excited. I was excited to tell my college coach, Carrie Williams. I knew that she would just be ecstatic. It's just such a big deal for me and Rutgers to like get that exposure. So I was nervous, but I was ready to compete. I felt like I was there. I was going to do what I do and see what was possible.
Yeah, and I understand you chose Rutgers. You were accepted to, or you were scouted by 4 universities. That was Colorado State, was it Wyoming?
Yeah.
Brown, and Rutgers. So with the other great universities in that lineup, why did you choose Rutgers?
Yeah, so I went on my official visit to Rutgers, and I just loved it. I love the team. The team is like really widespread cultural. Like people from all over the place. My roommate this year was South African. We had like Italy, Colombia, like all over the place, Germany, Norway. So it's really cool to spend time with them. You get to see, like how different people do different things. And I also just fell in love with the coaching. Carrie Williams and our assistant coach, Joanna Henry, they remind me a lot of home. So that always helps. And then just everything the team stands for is kind of what I was looking for. The academics are great. It was overall just gave me everything that I kind of wanted. And when I stepped foot on campus, I was like, all right, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to get better. I want to play and I want to ride for this team.
And it's great diversity, it sounds like. So how many languages are you speaking now?
No, I mean, I could speak a little bit of a few, mostly golf terms, but I try to stick to English.
Well, you're going to have to teach me some golf terms, because if there's one sport that I absolutely am not very good at, it is golf. And I know it takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of mental endurance as well.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely a big part of the game. It's hard to think about, but I spend relatively the same amount of time on the mental aspect as I do the physical aspect of the game. Lots of just talking through how you're going to play every shot, how you're going to play a golf course, what's the best way to get the best score. And that all happens before you even put your hands on the club. So
yeah, so that just brought something up for me. And I was thinking, now once you're in mind and you created the whole strategy, now you get out there.
Yep.
Ready to play. Is your mind clear, or do you have a lot going on in there?
I don't want to say it depends on the tournament, but a little bit. That's something I work on a lot, though, is kind of narrowing and widening my focus. For me, it's really important in between shots to widen my focus, not talk about golf, joke around with my caddy or my playing partners, whoever I'm playing with. And then once I step up to the ball, it's kind of like narrow in. It's go time. What's the wind doing? How far is it? What club do I need to hit? This and that. But for the most part, you only have so much mental capacity while you're out there.
Right.
It's important to kind of save it and not waste it in between shots worrying about like, oh, that shot went left. Where's my next shot going to go? So it's a lot, but it's fun.
So you feel like you do perform better when you're kind of out of mind and you're just in heart and you're settled in.
100%. I usually perform better in events where I have a caddy or someone like on my bag, as opposed to not, just because it gives me someone to talk to in between shots rather than just being in my own head the whole time. So yeah, definitely widening the focus and kind of like bringing it a couple steps back, and like, you're going to be out here for 5 hours. Like, we don't need to be thinking about golf the whole time. For sure helps me play better.
So it's that getting out of mind. And I love that, because that's a little bit about what my latest release and song is about. It's living, and it talks about living from the inside out. So not focusing on the outside, what's going on, but staying within, staying in the heart. And that's where all the clarity comes, and the best performance and the magic happens when you can be in that place.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so I know something interesting. Your dad was on your bag.
Yeah.
You played at the Women's US Open. So how did that feel for you? Was that nerve-wracking, or was that helpful?
It's for sure helpful. I think we were both around the same amount of nervous. I mean, neither of us had been there before. He's caddied for me once or twice before in just some like random tournaments, but this was a little different. It was nice though to have someone like live through the experience with me. They know like exactly what you go through, what every shot looks like, what it feels like, how hard it is, the good moments, the bad moments. So a lot of people like rag on the daddy caddy that it's like not great, but we have a great relationship when he's on the bag, and he tells me when I'm wrong and I tell him when he's wrong, and it usually works out for the most part, and I post pretty good scores, so it works out for us. I like it.
Yes, I heard you had some great great performances out there. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the first round was obviously not my best play, but it was such a good experience to see the conditions, the fast greens, the deep rough. I mean, the rough that we played at the Olympic Club made my life seem like I've never played in rough before. So it was cool. I got to learn how to hit a bunch of new shots, and it really exposed the parts of my game that need work and what I need to come back and work on the whole summer. And then the second round, I stepped on the number 1 tee a little more confident. We had like a game plan. We'd been in this situation before. I played a little better. I fired a 78. I had 4 birdies throughout the whole tournament. So being able to say I made a birdie in the U.S. Women's Open was pretty cool. But yeah, the whole experience, just celebrating the small victories, getting there in general, posting a good score, hitting good shots. It was a great step in my career for sure.
Well, I wouldn't say they're small victories. Even being there is a big victory. I mean, you were there with 150 of the top golfers in the world. And I'm sure you had the opportunity to meet and greet and spend time with many of these beautiful women. Is there one golfer that stands out in particular in your mind, or a moment that you had while you were out there with, one of the professional golfers?
Definitely, yeah. I got to meet and just like witness all of my idols, which was amazing. But for sure, the most like surreal moment for me, the final practice round day, that Wednesday, I was up on the number 1 tee, and the 2 people that I was supposed to play my practice round with ended up canceling. They were like going to hit some more balls on the range, and so I had a late addition. And I was like, "Oh, who will be this late addition? That's so interesting." And it ended up actually being Allie Ewing, and so she plays on the LPGA Tour, and she had just won the week before in Vegas. She was match play, so fresh off a tour victory, and to see like just her demeanor while she played the practice round, she was just like there to have fun. She knew that her game was in the right spot. She was going to hit the ball the way she wanted, and she was just there to feel out the golf course, the relationship between her and her caddy, how they thought about it. The whole thing was such a cool experience, and just taught me lessons that I wouldn't be able to get anywhere else.
Wow. It sounds like, you have really, as we were speaking through this podcast, you've learned a lot by watching others. You've learned a lot through mentors.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I mean, for me personally, that's like, I would say the way I learn, watching and then being able to replicate is much easier, but it's been amazing. I've had so many people show me this and that throughout my golf career so far. It's really helped me become the golfer that I am today.
And you are a fantastic golfer, and I'm looking forward to seeing so much more from you. I read that you just played, was that this past week?
Yeah, this past week, yeah.
You played, and I got to read this because it's long. You were playing at the Colorado Golf Association Women's Match Play Championship, and you won.
I did, yeah. It was really exciting. The U.S. Women's Open was such a cool experience, and even though I didn't play my best golf, it was like, wow, I made it. But then getting to come back to Colorado and play in a tournament and play my best golf and have some rewards for it was super cool. First time I had ever played match play too, so it was a good experience.
It just sounds like anything you touch turns to victory, turns to gold. You have, it sounds like you have just a fantastic foundation. It sounds like your parents have done a great job with you, keeping you focused, instilling a strong competitive spirit, but, with kind consideration behind it. So kudos to your parents.
Thank you.
So what is next for the Divine Leigha Devine?
Yeah, so I actually have a tournament this weekend. I'm playing in the Colorado Stroke Play. And then next Wednesday, I try to qualify for the U.S. Women's Amateur. Hopefully I'll get to do that, go to New York. And then just keep grinding, getting the game better, trying to become the best golfer I can. So when I show up on campus next year, I'm ready to go for the team.
Well, I'm ready to see you there, and I would love to come out and see you in New York.
Absolutely.
I really wanted to come out and see you in California, but it just didn't fit the schedule.
That's all right.
Well, Leigha, thank you so much for joining me today. You've been a fantastic guest.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, I always ask my guests one question, being a country music singer-songwriter.
Okay.
I always like to know, what is the one song that speaks to your heart and sums up the essence of your being?
Oh, no. I don't know.
You got to have like a song in your head before you get out there.
Yeah, I do. I listen to a lot of music before I go in tournaments, but it's usually more like hardcore motivation rather than like.
Well, that could be your song.
I really like Sugarland, like the song.
Oh, yes.
Sugarland.
Even more now. Which song?
Yes. I love Stay. Just beautiful song. But yeah, I mean, I love country. I love all country. I didn't used to, but then when I went to school, it helped me not feel homesick. So
yeah, music is definitely an amazing driver and also, a comforting tool.
Sure.
And Stay. So that's Stay. Don't you want to stay here a little while?
Yes.
Well, that probably is a really great one for you.
I do. I like it.
Well, I'm so glad that you stayed a little while with me today.
Thank you. Me as well.
I normally ask people to sing, but I won't do that to you.
No, I can't sing.
The singing golfer. So thank you, Leigha, so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
No, I look forward to so many great things ahead for you. And honestly, I'm going to get out. I'm going to come see you play, and maybe you can give a hopeless golfer some tips.
Absolutely.
So everyone, thank you so much for joining me today on Living and Loving. You can check me out here every Thursday, 4 p.m. on all my platforms. And thank you to Leigha Devine for joining us, one of the top golfers in the world. She went to the U.S. Women's Open just back, won a huge match play championship. So much more to come for this lady. So in the words of Leigha Devine, find mentors, watch, learn, replicate, and stay out of mind and get in the magic, because that's where the magic happens, and have fun while you're doing it. Have a blessed day. Love you all. Thanks so much, Leigha. Say hello to your family for me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you soon.
You as well.
Have a blessed day. Bye.
Bye.
You take me there.